from the president, his reaction to having the Republicans pull this health care bill. Listen to this.
I think the losers are Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, because now they own Obamacare. They own it, 100% own it. And this is not a Republican health care. This is not anything but a Democrat health care. And they have Obamacare for a little while longer until it ceases to exist, which it will at some point in the near future. And just remember, this is not our bill. This is their bill.
Okay, Senator, your reaction.
Well, it's a tall tale, another one by President Trump. They never reached out to us. They never talked to us. They never said, how can we work together to make it better? The failure is, of course, completely among the Republicans, President Trump and the Congress. They weren't even trying to get Democrats involved. And now it's about time for the president to lead, not to name call, not to blame, but to lead, to simply say people are going to suffer and someone's to blame. That makes no sense at all. If you're a real president, you care about people suffering, and we're ready to work with the president. Take repeal off the table. Let him and Speaker Ryan, Mitch McConnell say we're not repealing, and we'll work with improving Obamacare. We'll work with them on improving Obamacare. But in the meantime, for the president to do things to make Obamacare worse and have millions of people suffer, to make sure it doesn't work when CBO says it is working, he's wrong about that, that's not being a president.
Listen to how the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, reacted. Listen to this.
I think we were probably doing the Democrats a favor. I think we were doing the architects of Obama a favor by passing this law before it gets even worse. Well, I guess that favor is not going to be given to them, and it's going to get worse. And so I don't think the architects of Obamacare, I'm sure they may be pleased right now, but when they see how bad this thing gets, based on all the projections we're being told by the plans that are participating in Obamacare, I don't think they're going to like that either.
All right, go ahead and react to the Speaker.
Well, again, Obamacare is working for millions of people. That's why there was such an outcry when they decided to repeal it. Can it be improved some? Of course. We've always said that. And once the Republicans take repeal off the table, we're willing to work with them to improve it. But it's far, far better having it than not having it. 20 million people covered, pre-existing conditions taken care of, college kids who graduate from college can get on their health care plan, women's health care taken care of, senior citizens getting reasonable cost health care, all of which would have been undone by Trump Care, and that's why the public was on our side. Last polls I saw, 57% against Trump Care, rather keeping and improving ACA. So we're willing to work with them, but they got to take repeal off the table. You know, it was very easy for 7 years for them to decry this. But I will say this, you know, there were two problems, two reasons this failed. That President Trump failed. One is incompetence. I've never seen such incompetence. They put together a bill that doesn't have the support of so many of their own party. Nobody, hardly anyone on the outside opposed it. AARP supported it, AARP against it, AMA against it, hospitals against it, nurses against it. And second, you can't, and this is a lesson for them for the future, you cannot govern from the hard right. This bill, the only people who really benefited were the very, very wealthy, people above $250,000 a year.
Who do you blame for their failure?
Pardon?
Who do you blame for their failure? I'd like you to name names.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is President Trump proved to be incompetent. There was no art of a deal here. Even his great technique, I'll threaten them, I'll pull out, and then they'll come back to me, didn't work. Leader Ryan, I like him a great deal. He's a good man, but I don't understand how you can put a bill on the floor before so many of your members have signed off on it and don't like it. So there's a lot of blame all on the Republican side to go around.
If Republicans can't come together and agree on a new health care bill to repeal and replace Obamacare, what, if anything, are you, the Democratic leader in the Senate, going to do to reach out to Republicans and try to work with them on a bipartisan basis to find some solutions to fixing Obamacare?
That's just what we want to do. If they take repeal off the table, we're willing to sit down with them and improve Obamacare. It's doing a good job, but there are places that it can be improved, no question about it.
What would you want to improve?
Well, there's a whole lot of things. I'm not going to get into a whole list now. We've introduced legislation making drug prices lower, providing Medicare maybe for more people, making sure the insurance companies don't get away with everything by giving more power to the insurance companies, more competition through a public option. There are all kinds of changes that we're willing to make Obamacare better. But they got to get off this kick of repeal, and I did not see Speaker Ryan say that. And Donald Trump's saying, ha ha, everyone will now suffer. Well, only if he tries to make it worse, and that wouldn't be what a president is supposed to do.
And even as this legislation was going down, they were pulling the actual bill. The president phoned the Washington Post, Bob Costa over at the Washington Post, and he said this, and let me put it up on the screen. As you know, I've been saying for years that the best thing is to let Obamacare explode and then go make a deal with the Democrats and have one unified deal, and they will come to us. We won't have to come to them after Obamacare explodes. Will you come to the president now and try to make what he calls a unified deal?
Well, as I said, if they take repeal off the table, absolutely. They've tried to repeal it. They failed. If they keep trying to repeal it, we won't be able to do anything. So, of course, we'll come to them. And it's about time for the president to act like a president, not to make people suffer, make things worse by making Obamacare worse. It's a good bill now. He can try to make it better. That's fine. But this idea, ha, 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 people will suffer. That is not what a president's supposed to be. We're not gloating that they failed. We're sad that they won't work with us to improve Obamacare.
What lessons, Senator, will you take from this health care episode right now to apply to upcoming items on the president's legislative agenda? Because now he says the priority number one for the White House is tax cuts, tax reform.
Okay. The number one lesson here is to aim things at average families, working families. Obamacare had huge tax cuts on the very rich, and then they made everyone else pay more. And their main